Welcome back to Radio Taiwan International. You're listening to Geek Out. What's your cup of tea, tickles your fancy, or floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and today in the studio we have my wonderful colleague, Amber Hatfield.
Hi.
Hi. So what are we geeking out about today?
We're going to geek out about traveling.
You know, I'm surprised that I haven't had somebody on to talk about traveling yet.
Yeah.
Because it's so popular, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, we've just had the pandemic, which is kind of just, sucker punched everybody.
That's true.
Who likes to travel.
Uh-huh.
But since then, things have opened back up. Right, let's talk about our travel histories. Well, where are you from, first of all, Amber?
Well, I'm from England. Living in England, I feel like it's pretty easy to get to lots of places in Europe. But
yeah, right?
Yeah, so I went to quite a few places in Europe as a kid. But as an adult, I've not really lived in England.
Okay, define as an adult. So how old have you not been in England?
Like from about 20, 21. Yeah.
Wow, you left really early then.
Yeah, just like straight after uni.
Just took off.
Yeah. Bye, peace out.
Well, I mean, I spent my childhood, ages 0 to 14 in the Bay Area of California, and then I moved to Taiwan. Mm-hmm. And then from Taiwan, I graduated high school, went to the East Coast, to Boston for actually about a decade, and then I came back to Taiwan. So when I was in Boston, I did, hop over the pond to London for about a week and a half.
Oh, yeah?
But that has been the only place that I have visited as of yet in Europe.
Oh, really?
I know, right?
Wow, that's
silly.
shocking.
It's so silly. And it doesn't really count because I'm sorry, but we all speak English, isn't it? Yeah, so tell us about where have you been in Europe?
Where have I been in Europe? Actually, the most recent trip I did was last summer. So last summer I went back to Europe for like 2 months.
Oh, nice.
So I did like a month in England with my family and stuff.
Of
Then I
course.
spent like a month traveling around some countries in Europe. So I went to Poland. I went to Czechoslovakia.
Oh, wow.
Czech Republic.
Okay.
And
So
also,
Eastern Europe as well.
Yeah. And then I went to Hungary, so like Budapest, which was really nice. With some friends. That was fun. And then...
Anything notable?
Prague.
Oh,
I went
and
to Prague. That was really pretty. I liked it a lot.
So for those listeners who have never been to Western Europe, was there a favorite?
Was there a favorite? Actually, I think my favorite was probably Budapest because I went with my friends. So I always was normally like a solo traveler, but I feel like I've recently become a bit more lazy. Like, when you're a solo traveler, you can go to hostels and you can meet people and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel a bit like, I kind of can't be bothered to meet new people. I just want to be with people I already know, so I don't have to bother like trying to make friends with new people every day.
It's definitely a different vibe, right? When you travel alone, and then when you travel with family, and then when you travel with friends. It's super different.
Yeah.
Absolutely different. But I actually want to touch on that then. Being a solo traveler and also female, have you ever encountered any challenges there?
I have had a few bad experiences before, but I probably shouldn't talk about them.
I mean, to summarize, were they like, people would follow you or something like that?
Yeah, like kind of negative experiences with men, like approaching you or like doing things that they definitely shouldn't be doing in public and stuff like that.
That happens just even at home as a solo person walking around your home city.
Yeah.
So, but as a solo traveler, I would imagine that you would have less support generally because you're visiting a country.
And also you don't like know the area, you don't really know like where you can go or like what you can do, like who can help you or anything and what you can say, like in English I feel like you kind of know how to like, get people to go away from you, whereas you don't really know how to do that in other cultures or like other languages and stuff.
Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Yeah.
You're here. Excellent. But would you give any tips or cool things to remember, points to keep in mind if someone similar to us would be to solo travel?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess you got to just be quite savvy about like where you go and like what time you go and stuff. So, I mean, like whenever I would travel by myself, I would never try and get off like a bus or something in the middle of the night or like get somewhere late at night. Like I would always try and arrive there in the day or like early morning or something.
Right.
And also maybe I don't know, I follow this Facebook travel, like girls travel groups and stuff like
great.
that. So you can like ask questions if you have been here before and stuff, and then like maybe ask if you got any tips and stuff like that for different places.
Well, now that we have the internet, right? There are lots of support groups. And of course, if you're just on Instagram, there's people who have traveled to places before, just searching by a hashtag. Then you can ask those people for personal experiences and recommendations.
Yeah.
That's great. Living in Taiwan, I kind of feel like we have grown this feeling of security.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, listeners who don't live in Taiwan, I could be scantily dressed because I'm returning from a night out and possibly inebriated, walking down a dark alley at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I would actually not fear for my safety.
Yeah.
In comparison to the US.
Oh yeah, or the UK too. Like I really noticed it when I went back home. I mean, I always noticed it when I was in England anyway, but like I noticed it when I went back home last year. That just like staying with some friends in London and stuff. Like when you finish in a night out, like you really have to think about where you're walking and like who's around you and like really
paranoid.
Have to be kind of paranoid and concerned about stuff. But I think it's a good thing for traveling because you're aware, you know, because I know that like if you come from a really safe country and then if you go traveling to somewhere that's not so safe, like you're kind of unaware that things might happen to you. So it could be more dangerous. You know, so.
Just being, comfortable at home in your safe community, you do have to have your hairs up for any kind of traveling.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
just solo traveling, but especially so. You said Budapest. Any particular points of interest?
Oh, we went to like the hot springs. There's like a hot springs kind of bath there and stuff, like hot spring baths, which are really nice. Although it was really hot actually when we went there. So. But we were like, oh, we got to go to this spot. So we went there anyway. Okay. And then like river trip. We went on a nice river trip.
Was it like river rafting or like a boat?
Oh no, like a nice boat kind of to see the river and
more like a cruise than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the architecture in Western Europe is really interesting, and I definitely have many places on my list.
Yeah, the architecture. I'm like a bit of that's what I like to see when I go traveling. Like I like to see architecture and like history and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I actually, when I went to Australia after I finished uni for like a year for a working holiday visa, and I always thought like I would really love Australia so much because it had this kind of, I don't know, romantic, idealized like vision of Australia and stuff. Yeah, kangaroos and like surfer boys and you know like.
But no, it wasn't.
Well, it just like for me, I thought so. It's got beautiful landscapes and stuff, and it's got a lot of things for it, but it just doesn't really have like a deep historical feeling like Europe has, you know?
Right. I mean, the like, for example, if you're looking specifically at architecture, I'm gonna say that the majority of the architecture in Australia is fairly modern.
Yeah, it's newer, for sure. Yeah,
it's kind of the feeling like in Taiwan when you go to like the Xini district, where everything looks really modernized and actually pretty Western. And you kind of lose the feel that you're in Taiwan because it looks like any other city that you would go to in the world. And so I tend to prefer the older districts in Taipei where, you got the alleys and the temples, and then it becomes, you little tiny vendors and things. Yeah. And the cultural experience is quite different. So
yeah, for sure.
So Asia then. So you went to Australia after uni, and then you said you basically never moved home.
Oh yeah, so I just kind of I did Australia for like a year and Tasmania as well, like that.
Oh, Tasmania! Tell me about Tasmania. That sounds so cool.
Tasmania was cool actually. I did I worked, so when I was in Australia I got a car, like a station wagon they call it, and I kind of like made it out into a place where I could sleep by myself. So I put curtains on the windows and like put a bed in the back and everything, and I was by myself, so I just like cruise around this car and like would sleep wherever I wanted to and stuff. Like a lot of people do that in Australia.
Dude, it's hashtag van life.
Yeah. But my car was not like a like a really fancy van.
Of course, dude. I follow some Instagram accounts that make them, right? And they get super fancy, but you can absolutely just have the bare necessities and a sleeping bag in the back of some place where you can lie down flat. Is cool.
Yeah. So I did that, and I worked on a cherry picking farm.
So cool.
Yeah, so I sleep in my car and just like wake up in the morning and pick cherries and eat cherries.
Oh my god, this is the joie de vivre.
Yeah, you would think that you couldn't get sick of cherries, but you can.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they also grow a lot of mangoes to certain places, and apparently you have to like rotate because you can grow not just sick of mangoes. That's almost impossible, but you can actually develop allergies to them.
Oh, Oh.
Like if you're overexposed to the plants, something like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I've heard of that actually.
Right.
Yeah. But I did quite a lot of farm work. Like I worked on oranges and also like papaya farm as well, like picking papayas.
I'm personally scared of bugs.
Oh my gosh, so many spiders. So many spiders.
I have a very clear childhood trauma memory of going cherry picking in California, and I went up and grabbed a bunch of cherries, and when I brought my hand back down, there was a huge centipede just like winding its way up my arm. That's just the stuff of nightmares. So I could never do that work. Props to you.
Yeah. Thanks.
But Tasmania.
Yeah, so Tasmania is beautiful. Like they've got a lot of, it's kind of colder because it's more south, so it's a bit colder, but they've got like beautiful mountains and stuff. And people say, I mean, I've not been to New Zealand, but people say it's like mini New Zealand kind of thing. Like the scenery kind of looks more New Zealand and stuff like that.
I have read that there's a lot of national parks there.
Yeah.
So it's mostly, wild centric, right?
Yeah, it is.
So did you actually see a Tasmanian devil?
No, but I saw a lot of wombats.
Wombats?
Oh my goodness, I love wombats. They're so
cute.
So I remember there was one day actually, like I was camping in the back of my car with a friend, a French girl, and we had parked in this little national park, and we found this little kind of
nook.
Like a nook, like an area of grass, and we were parked there, and we were just stationed up for the night, like drinking our red wine and stuff.
Of course.
And then I looked out the window of my car, and I was like, oh, there's a wombat right there.
Like wild.
And I like got out and I sat on top of my car and I was just looking at it, and it was just right there, just rummaging around, like right by us. It was so cute.
Oh my goodness. I mean, they're like teeny tiny bears, more or less.
They look so cute.
Yeah. It's just weird when these animals that were, for example, I'm used to just seeing in a zoo, is just wild in next to your car.
Yeah. I have another wombat story actually.
Yes, please tell. Please tell.
I was in another place in Australia called Wilson's Promontory National Park.
Okay.
And I was with like a group of friends, and we both drove like 2 cars down there, and we were camping, and we had this campfire, and we had our coolers out and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were all just chatting and eating and drinking, and then we realized there's a wombat in the cooler.
Wait, what? He climbed in.
Yeah, he was climbing, like, and he knocked the lid off,
Oh,
and
no.
he was just like trying to get in our cooler and steal our stuff. And then we kind of like managed to shoo him away. And then later in the night, it was like a guy's tent and a girl's tent.
Yeah.
So later in the night, like me and my friends, we heard the guys like screaming and stuff, like, ah.
The guys are screaming.
And we were like, what's going on? This wombat, because the cooler was in their tent.
Oh, of course.
This wombat had chewed a hole in the tent and was like in their tent running around.
Wow. Very,
Yeah.
really brave little guy. I mean, who would harm a wombat?
Yeah.
No
he
one.
just
So
didn't.
I guess he's just, just gotten so brave and brazen,
Yeah,
right? But
definitely.
did he, the question would be, did he leave any square poops anywhere? Cubic poops?
I didn't see any. I didn't see any.
Yeah, so that's always been a mystery, guys. If you don't know, wombats actually make cubic poop.
Cubic poop.
Yes, just the shape is just very interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so Australia, Tasmania, various parts of Europe,
Yeah.
and then Asia.
Yeah. So actually, when I left Australia, I did like a 3-month trip around Asia and stuff. So like
Fun.
Singapore, and then like Malaysia, and then I went to Borneo, the island
yes.
in Malaysia.
Yep.
Yeah, and saw like some orangutans and did some diving and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I got my diving license there actually.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah. A
really
lot of
nice.
people do it while they're on holiday, which is a fantastic idea because they as part of your course you are taken to great places to look at.
Yeah.
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 Great
Really
idea.
nice.
So okay, Malaysia, Borneo, and anywhere.
Yeah, and like Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should. Do you have one of those maps where you like scratch off the country?
I don't have one actually, but I did want to get one. But I don't feel like I can scratch off whole swathes of, I feel like I need to go more places for sure.
Well, okay. If once you've been bitten by the travel bug, it's just gonna keep itching forever.
Yeah, it really does.
Right.
I've been to the Philippines quite a few times actually since I've been living in Taiwan. I really like the Philippines. I feel like the vibe there is really friendly.
Chill.
Yeah, people seem really friendly there and like happy a lot of the time. Like they've got like a happy kind of.
Yeah,
vibe
I've been once, and it definitely was the most beautiful water I've ever seen. Where were you?
Oh, so I've been like 3 different times. So the first time I went to this tiny, tiny little island called Malapascua.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they have like thresher sharks there, so you can do a dive with thresher sharks, and those are the ones with like the really long tails.
Yeah, the upper part of the tail is super long.
Yeah, so that was like a deep dive with those, and that was really cool. And then I just kind of like chilling out on this tiny island, and it was really nice. And then I actually recently went to the Philippines, like just a couple months ago.
Oh, fun!
No, in May. Yeah,
In May.
But it was kind of marred by the typhoon that came through the Philippines at that time.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's no good.
Yeah, so I had wanted to go to El Nido for like a really long time. And we got to El Nido, and then we went to this little island called Coron.
Oh, Coron, that's where I was.
And we couldn't do any trips in Coron.
Oh, no.
We couldn't do anything.
Because the water was choppy, I bet.
It was just storming. Like, it was so storming. And then loads of flights were getting cancelled. And then I got stuck there, and I couldn't leave. And, like, it was just a bit of a mess. Yeah.
I was down in Xiaoliuqiu in Taiwan when that exact storm was passing through in May. And, that was not cool at all.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what it looked like in the Philippines. Well, if you do get a chance, I would visit Coron again because it was just, in comparison to, islands that I've been to in Thailand or in Indonesia, really just gorgeous. The water is like glass.
Yeah, it's really nice. But when I was in El Nido and we did a few boat trips there,
yep.
I have always seen the pictures of El Nido and thought like, wow, the water looks really blue and really beautiful. But I did definitely feel that the tourism is ruining a lot of it. Like
it is.
The corals, like we did a snorkeling trip and I was kind of snorkeling around and I was just looking and I was like, this is all kind of bleached, I can't really see anything. And I felt really bad, like you see all the boats in the water and kind of feel like they're polluting the water and keep their engines running and everything.
Right. El Nido has seen a huge surge in tourism, which is kind of a problem because the infrastructure is having trouble keeping up, like the government regulation and infrastructure, right? But Coron is still kind of a hidden gem. So, yeah, I would make it back there if you can.
Yeah, hopefully.
And, the Philippines is actually pretty close to Taiwan. I think the flight is, 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, if you get to Manila, I think it's even maybe a bit less than that. But yeah, it's really, and it's also cheap to get to from Taiwan.
Yeah,
as well.
It's very.
Yeah.
So huge plus there. But yeah, any favorite places you've been to in Asia then?
Oh, favorite places in Asia. I would say my favorite places that I've been in Asia is probably the Philippines. I really like it. Okay. But in terms of like my favorite place that I've ever been, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I would have to say that I think it's Colorado in the US.
Really? Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, no, just because I'm like a really big kind of like, I love the outdoors and stuff.
Nature trekkie person?
Yeah. I love the outdoors. I love mountains so much and trees and like wildlife and stuff like that. And I feel like American national parks are just...
Yeah, the Colorado Rockies are really amazing.
Yeah.
I mean...
The kind of vistas, like really expansive vistas, like you can see for so far around. Like I really, really love that. Like that's something that makes me, like you get something in your heart makes you feel like, I belong here or something. Like, I don't know, like that kind of feeling. I feel like it makes me feel like that. Like when I can see...
in the cold?
No.
Because, dude, Colorado in the high altitude gets real cold.
Yeah.
I mean, in the States anyway, it's known as, of course, wildlife and nature, hiking thing. But in the winter, it's a skiing, snowboarding destination.
Yeah. I mean, that would be cool too. I mean, I'm all right with the cold, like a certain kind of cold. Like, I feel like when it's kind of a drier cold, it's not too bad. But when it's like a wet cold,
dude, Taiwan is weird. It almost never drops below freezing here. But in the winter, it is oddly cold. Yeah. It gets down to your bones because it's humid. And it's I used to laugh at people who wear the what are they, like puffy jackets?
Like big Parkers and stuff. And like, yeah.
But as I grow in years, it's like I kind of want to wear one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like sometimes I'll be talking to my parents or my brother or something back home and they'll be like, oh, so what's the temperature? I'm like, it's like 11 degrees. They're like, what? 11 degrees? That's not even cold. It's cold.
It's cold.
It feels cold.
It's weirdly cold compared to dry cold.
Yeah.
I mean... at this point, I don't think I could ever move back to Boston because it's in the winter, it's just brutal. But that dry cold is really different. It's as long as you have heat in the house, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So how about East Asia though? China, Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan.
Yeah, I've been to Japan. I've been to Japan a couple of times. I went to Okinawa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to Okinawa. That was really nice. On a little trip with a friend.
By flight or on a cruise ship?
By flight. Yeah, we flew there. Yeah. And then I also went on a trip with my mom in Japan.
Oh, so
and
cute.
We met like in Tokyo and then we went to like Kyoto and we went to Osaka and we did like a little...
The big three.
And then we did like a little... I don't remember where it was, but it was some place a bit north of Tokyo where you can ski and stuff. And we tried like snowboarding and stuff.
Oh, was it Hokkaido?
No, it wasn't. That's really far, but it was kind of close to...
Okay.
Not that far from Tokyo, I think. Because we did the rail pass, like the Japan rail pass that you can get.
So you can basically visit any place on the rail. It's fairly easy to get to.
Yeah. So that was really nice. Actually, my mum and I have done a couple of trips. Like before I came to Taiwan, we met each other in Vietnam as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we did like some, what's it called? In northern Vietnam, I can't remember what it's called, but we went to a place there. I think it's called Sapa. Yeah, Sapa. And it's like a mountain kind of town. They grow a lot of
Vietnam.
Oh, really?
But it's on my list, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. So you spent time with your mom in Vietnam. Oh,
yeah.
Has she traveled much?
Well, she hadn't really traveled much before, but I think now that I'm over here, like we've gone to a few places together and she's done more stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I've kind of felt that way. It's like once you are the first person in a destination, then you have visitors that you can show them around.
Yeah, like she'd never been to Asia before. She'd been to like North Africa and Europe, but you know, now she's been to Asia, been to Taiwan,
such a different
been to
experience.
Japan, been to Vietnam. Yeah, and I don't think she ever would have done that if I wasn't here. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for geeking out with me, Amber.
Yeah.
And thanks, listeners, for tuning in to Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out.